Hello there guys, welcome to the channel if you are new, welcome back if you've been here before. As you probably gathered from the thumbnail, in this video I'm going to be building this Star Wars Mandalorian N-1 Starfighter by Revell. Now I have built a few Star Wars kits on the channel before, but invariably they have been Bandai kits. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, I used to live in Asia and the Bandai kits were very easy to get hold of and very fairly priced. Secondly, the Bandai kits are excellent. And thirdly, if Revell do the same subjects, the Bandai kits do tend to be better and they're a bit more consistent in terms of scale as well. For example, the Revell Y-Wing is a very sensible 1/72nd scale, but the Revell X-Wing is 1/57 scale for some unknown reason. So I think the only Revell Star Wars kit I built is the Razor Crest, which I built a while ago. And of course, in keeping with that strange mix of scales, this N-1 Starfighter is 1/24th scale. Of course, I bought this about a week before Bandai announced they're doing a 1/48th scale version. But anyway, that's fine. This is a nice looking kit and it's a good big model as well. So the N-1 Starfighter did appear in the original prequel trilogy of films, but in a slightly different form. It was a much sort of sleeker design, whereas this is a heavily upgraded version, and as you can see from the box art there, we've got sort of the exposed engines and so on. It's got much more of a raw, kind of like drag racer feel to it. We've got fairly standard Revell instructions, which are in full colour, which is helpful. Of course, I play fast and loose with colour callouts at the best of times, so when it comes to a sci-fi subject, I'm not going to be too bothered about getting the exact right colours, and I'm certainly not going to try to distinguish between A, aluminium metallic, B, silver metallic, D, iron metallic, and several other metal colours that are used throughout these instructions. I'm just going to paint them some nice metal colours that I think look cool. As you can see though, as we flip through the instructions, we do have some nice detail on the two engines there, a Mandalorian and a Grogu figure. Quite a simple cockpit piece there. The parts count is quite low on this kit actually. The cockpit itself is simply that base with a couple of sides and a rear, and there's no actual details to add, they're all moulded into the pieces. So the skill level I think is relatively low for this kit. We do get a couple of options. In the rear we can either have Grogu in the glass dome, or we can have a R2 unit and have Grogu on Mando's knee. What we don't get is an option to have this wheels down, like landed. I need to go back and watch The Mandalorian and see how this thing actually does land, what it sits on. But what we do get in the kit instead is quite nice. It's this frame that you can see here, this stand you can see here at the bottom of that page, moulded in clear plastic, which is quite cool. Certainly easier than drilling a hole in your model and using acrylic rods to hold it up. And at the end there, a simple decal call-out sheet. To be honest, many of those decals we could also probably paint if we wanted to, but it's nice to have the option. We start by building up the engines, and these are identical for left and right. Since the parts count is quite low here, I found it easier to build these up and then paint them afterwards. But the pipework detail is nice, and of course you could add some extra wiring and so on if you wanted to. Ultimately the engine will sit inside this bay here on the wingtip, and it will be visible from the sides and a little bit from the bottom, but I'm going to leave the engine separate for now so the inside of that engine bay can receive some paint. I'm jumping about a bit here, but this is the finished cockpit build, which is literally just as I said, the tray and then these three parts here, they're dry fitted right now. And that's it. Some very clear slots and tabs, so that should be a nice assembly. If you didn't want to have Mando in the cockpit for some reason, you would need to probably sand down if you could, or cut off those little tabs there for aligning him, but most likely you're going to have him in place anyway. The arm attachment points are really well slotted, which is good because the arms are part of the controls, so they have to be perfectly aligned. And then I went a bit freestyle with my build sequence at this stage, gluing the lower wing to the upper wing. And then that enabled me to put the fairing piece there on. With hindsight, that actually made the painting of that inside of the fairing quite difficult. We get several of these sort of boxes which clip onto the bottom of the upper fuselage and then are visible through some sort of vents like that. For each of those I kept them separate for easier painting. We've got several other sub-assemblies which we can build up at this stage, including these sort of tail pieces, I guess you would call them. And again, because they're going to be painted probably a slightly different metallic colour, I just kept them separate, and that saves a lot of masking. Here's our option with the droid or the Grogu figure. Why not go with the droid? Droids are cool, and Grogu can go in the front anyway. So after not very long, basically all of the parts were off the sprue, and this is what I had for my sub-assemblies. We've got the top of the engine cover, the engine itself, and then the bit that goes below the engine, ×2. We've got some intakes for the engines. We've got Mando. We've got those boxes that are visible with the pipework and so on through the vents. Got the cockpit in there somewhere. Cockpit sides, cockpit rear, and then of course we've got the main fuselage. This is the underside. Just like the Razor Crest, Revell have taken to putting their manufacturer's mark on the bottom. I didn't bother sanding that off this time. And then this is the huge top piece. This is all one piece except for those two underwing sides which I added. That's quite an impressive piece of plastic there. Everything was then given a coat of black primer, and while that was drying I had to decide which metallic colours I was going to go for. The most reliable metallic colours in terms of airbrushing I find most forgiving in terms of not being a very good airbrusher, like me, are the Tamiya colours. I also have the Vallejo metal colours which do airbrush well, although you need to be a bit more careful with them. And I have the Galeri metal colours which I used on the Razor Crest and served me really well there. So with that in mind, those are the ones I went for. So this is the engine painted with Galeri steel, stainless steel, and the same for each of these components. In fact, the interior of the engine bays there, those little detail parts and so on. I gave a generic grey colour to the cockpit. I don't even remember what colour I gave it. And again, you can see the sides of the cockpit there with all that pipe work will be visible through the vents in the side of the ship. So with that in mind, I then brush painted various metallic colours. This is a combination of Vallejo metal colour and Galeri metal colours onto this pipework. I want something that's contrasting enough that it will be visible through those small slots. And in the end, to make those really stand out, I switched to a few brighter colours. So we've got a couple of golds in there, we've got some red copper in there, and even some blue on one of the engine pipes. Otherwise it just won't be visible from the exterior. The instructions recommended that Mando's seat is a metallic iron colour. I didn't like that, so I painted it olive drab. I carefully painted the instrument panel and the side panels in the cockpit before realising that we had some decals for those, which I think does help bring it to life. For some reason I gave Mando an overall coat of aluminium paint, before I realised that actually only his armour is aluminium, of course, and he wears like a dark browny turquoise coloured sort of suit underneath. Not turquoise, what's the word I'm looking for? dark red, burgundy, that's the colour I'm looking for. In fact, you can see there, one of the problems with my use of the Galeri paints, I've put that paint on him a little bit too heavily, and you can see it's sort of pooled a little bit. It's not an even coat over him. That's entirely my fault, but I'm glad I made the mistake on him rather than on the ship. So I did a lot of research to make sure I got the exact right paint mix for Grogu's green skin. I definitely didn't just pull out the first pale green colour I could find. And for once, my ability to only paint huge eyes seems to have been a benefit. Although they're not even, are they? There we go, Grogu and Mando in place with the instrument panel, snugly in their cockpit. Lovely stuff. And all of that was given a coat of VMS matte varnish to make sure everything was nicely sealed. Now I decided on the Galeri silver paint for this ship, and to avoid too much of a disaster, I did a very light powder coat at first and then another very light coat over the top. So this is it after just a couple of coats. It's not finished yet. It does look a bit grainy and a bit powdery now still, but that's fine. The problem with spraying the metal over the metal is you can't really see it hitting the surface until too much is on the surface and it's pooling. So you've got to kind of fire blindly. But this is how the engine will go into place, and then the top of the engine over there. And there are a couple of sections I noticed where we can see through, not just through the vents and not to the cockpit, but actually to the inside of the lower hull. So at the moment, straight to the grey plastic. So I will need to actually paint these bits here on the lower hull in a metallic colour so we can't see grey plastic. With that done, I could give the final metal coats to the exterior and to those interior parts, and then I could think about starting to construct things. At this point, it's really a case of bringing the sub-assemblies together. I did give a dark oil paint wash to some of these components before putting them together. And as always, I've done that with Abteilung 502 oil paint. This is a colour called engine oil, I believe, and it's thinned with odourless thinner. In this case, because it's engine components, I'm not really bothered about excess, but if you do want to clean some up, you can do so even a few hours afterwards with a little bit of thinner on a brush or a cotton swab. Here you can see that clear plastic base that they provide, stand that they provide. And I think that works really well, especially given that I'm not sure how this thing lands still. But it's very nice to add a sort of dynamic element to the model. I did go for the droid in the rear, so you get the head which you paint white, and then you've got a few decals to add. You can't really tell here, but I'm picking out a few details on these engines and so on with slightly different colour metallic paints. You can just about tell in real life, but you can't tell in the video. So the Starfighter does have these worn yellow stripes, and we get decals for that purpose, which look like they would work perfectly well. But I decided to go for a different approach, so I gave the entire model a semi-gloss varnish, waited for that to dry, then I masked off where the stripes would go, and then gave those stripy areas a coat of worn effects from AK. And after that dried for about 10 minutes, a coat of Tamiya yellow over the top. The AK1 effects is basically a water-soluble liquid. It performs the same function as hairspray, to be honest, if you've ever used the hairspray technique. And then we can come back and we can use water to dampen the areas. And then gently, with a toothpick or a paintbrush, we can just gently rub away some of that top level of yellow paint. If you use a bit too much water, you can see the paint sort of leaves a stain behind it as you wipe it away, so you can always go back and wipe that up with a tissue. And there you can tell the worn section versus the unworn section at the rear, which I haven't got around to yet. Finally, I did give an oil paint panel line wash to the model, but it didn't have a huge effect, to be honest. This is the same engine oil paint. I think combined with the shininess of the silver, it just doesn't really have the same effect it would do on a matte model. But nevertheless, I think it looks decent enough, and with that, my model is complete. So there we go, guys. That was my build of the N-1 Starfighter from the Mandalorian TV series in 1/24th scale from Revell. A great little kit, this one. I really enjoyed building it, just like I enjoyed building their Razor Crest previously. I would build more Revell Star Wars kits if they came out with subjects that I don't already have, but for the moment I've gone, as I said, with the Bandai kits for the X-Wings and the Y-Wings and things like that. But anyway, on its own merits, lovely kit, really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the clear stand as well. I think that makes a big difference. Photographing this one was quite difficult because it's a big kit and because it's quite shiny as well, so it does reflect those lights and make it a bit hard to see in places. But hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I will be back in the near future with another video. I've got a few things going on at the moment. You might remember the Tamiya model of the Gaz Soviet scout car that I built a while ago. That's now painted and I'm working on a base for it. And I haven't forgotten the abandoned cafe which I built a while ago. I'm still busy painting and weathering some more that, but it is still in progress. And I'm also working on the figures from Spalar models for the Sherman tank which I built a few months ago now. So that should have a crew sitting on that in the near future. Anyway, until next time, I would like to say thank you to all of you for watching, and extra special thanks to my Patreon supporters and my YouTube members for their ongoing support of the channel. It is hugely appreciated. Thank you very much, guys. So until next time, thank you again for watching, and have fun modelling.